brief overview, not an all-inclusive overview, but a brief overview of all the things you can do, or many of the things you can do on Zoom in order to be able to take best advantage of it. So the first thing is when you click on the actual item here on a Mac, you could see Zoom US, Edit, Window, and Help. If you click on Help, you can go into the preferences and change any of the preferences that are available for your Mac. In this case, I'm coming from my Yeti stereo microphone, and it's obvious here. I can adjust the microphone so that if a loud noise occurs, it will lower the volume and not bother the people that are listening. Or I can, another thing it'll do is if I'm speaking way too low, it'll increase the volume in order for people to be able to hear me. This is my own volume for my Beats, which is the way I'm listening to my computer right now. I could also do the built-in audio system as well. Very good. You can use a separate audio device to play ringtones simultaneously. So if you click here, it could say ring this device on Zoom as well as my phone. Going in here to General, you have several options here. You could use dual. If you have dual monitors, you can click on dual monitors so that you can choose which screen to share if you're going to do screen sharing. Enter full screen when starting or joining a meeting. That will not be on by default, but you can go ahead and click on it, and then anytime you join a meeting, it's going to open it all on default on your device. This is particularly for laptops and Macs. Next thing you can do is automatically copy the invitation URL once the meeting starts. So if you can click automatically copy, as soon as you start your email, on your clipboard, that is when you right click to paste something, that is what's going to be pasted, is the copy of the invitation for that meeting. So it makes it very easy to invite people. Say you right click, go to your iMessages and right click and paste. You can go ahead and get other friends that are on the iPhone to be able to join your meeting. You can ask me to confirm when I leave the meeting, so that way, in this case, you're telling the computer, listen, it's my meeting. If I leave, you may want to ask me, are you sure? Because the meeting will continue to be recorded until the last person leaves. At that point, then the meeting is over, and all of the stuff that's being said at the time is going to be recorded. Show my meeting duration. That's pretty important if you want to keep on a specific time frame, especially in the free version of Zoom. You want to make sure that it doesn't override 40 minutes or go over 40 minutes, because that's the allotted time for the free account. Although right now, due to the pandemic and the special circumstances, Zoom is actually allowing for unlimited meeting times. Of course, if there's no activity, I'm sure Zoom can detect that and cut off the meeting at that point. Adding Zoom to Mac OS bar, all it does is, if you'll notice up here, this little icon is actually the Zoom icon. If I click it off, notice that it's no longer there. If I add it again, tick it on, it adds it once more. Stop my video and audio when my display is off or screensaver begins. That's so that way, if your screensaver begins, that means you're likely walked away from your computer, and you don't really want anybody to hear, ambient noise or what's being spoken of at the time that you walk away from your computer. Say you're scolding your child or something like that. You don't want everybody to hear that. Or maybe you do. I don't know. It's admonition. Next is stop my video. Oh, that's the one we just did. Remind me 15 minutes before my upcoming meetings is a very interesting thing to do. You can actually set it to remind you 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 15 minutes prior to the meeting. That way you do not miss it. You can, if you're on an IPS, or rather an LED screen, obviously only when your screens are lit up totally by anything other than dark black, or really black, jet black, what happens is everybody can, I'm sorry, the battery will start depleting a lot faster when you use white. So I would recommend you go to a dark mode, which in this case, as you can see, will have the same options. Everything will be the same, except it'll be the dark mode. Pretty interesting that it allows for reactions in different skin tones. So that's kind of an interesting option. You can view more settings even, which will come up to your actual sign. You'd have to sign in to be able to view the different settings, but those are a little bit more on the advanced side. When you click on video here, it'll show you On video, it shows you the actual video. Hello there. It shows you the actual video. And of course, you can choose which camera you're using. If you have more than one camera, some people know how to connect their DSLR or something to that effect. They can do that and then choose the actual camera. You can look at the original ratio of the camera, which would be this one here that says original ratio, or you can always fit it to a 16:9 screen. Enable HD, because if you don't, it's going to be a little bit fuzzy. If you do, it's going to be a lot clearer. In this case, you couldn't tell much of a difference, but a lot of times you can. Mirror My Video will flip the video to the opposite direction, so that although this is really my left hand on the video, it appears to be my right. See my ring? It's a way. Some people just really need it to be that way as well. Moving on to touch up my appearance. If you're looking a little rough, forgot to shave, and you need just to just soften it up a little bit, notice that it just kind of glows a little bit. The complexion looks a little bit better. If I unclick it or untick it, it gets clear again, and you can clearly see that shaving is necessary for gentlemen. Always display participant name on their videos. This here's pretty interesting, because when you click on this, basically anybody who speaks will show the name of the person who's speaking, which is a good thing to do, especially if you're not very familiar with the group or if it's a very large group. Turn off my video with joining a meeting is very obvious. You can always show the video preview dialog when joining a video. These options are pretty self-explanatory. Setting up audio, I'm going to go ahead and click right over here. And that's audio right now. In audio, it will show you what your speakers are that you're listening to. You want to go ahead and choose the built-in speaker. If you have a Bluetooth device, you can select that. In this case, my Bluetooth device are my Beats Studio 3s. Over here, it shows what microphone. I can switch the microphone. This is the regular microphone, the microphone that is on my laptop. I'll go back to the original one that I had, my Yeti stereo microphone. And this is my Yeti stereo microphone. So you can see the difference in the quality. That's the reason that I like to use the Yeti for this. You can automatically adjust the volume so that way, clearly, when you speak a little too low, it's going to go ahead and adjust that for you. Or if you speak too loud, it's not going to blow out the speakers of the person trying to listen to you. You can tell him or tell the system here to join by audio computer when joining a meeting. So if you click here, as soon as you join the meeting, it's going to go ahead and join audio right away so that you can listen to it. I think it's a good option. That way you don't end up clicking on it and then it's blank for a little while until you walk right up to the laptop, say if you're sitting back to enjoy a corporate meeting presentation or something like that. You're not going to miss any of the content if you join by audio, by computer, join audio by computer. Otherwise, if you untick it, when the meeting begins and you first come in, it'll just show a little arrow that says join audio. And a lot of times it seems like an error when you're standing by waiting for the meeting to begin. Clearly somebody's talking, but you can't hear them. That is the issue. Mute microphone when joining is very important. I think it's by default a good etiquette to go ahead and mute your microphone if you're joining a meeting. That way, if you're joining 2 minutes late and you're yelling for the rest of the family to sit down to watch that service or whatnot, or the meeting, you're not going to be interrupting the presenter or any of the people listening to them. Press and hold space key to temporarily unmute oneself is a very safe way. If you're sitting at your computer and you want to say something, say you raise your hand for a comment, you can hold your space bar, and at that point you can temporarily unmute yourself in order for those listening in on the meaning to be able to hear you. The share your screen option is pretty interesting because what it allows you to do is to share the screen of your device. This is available on iOS. It's available on Mac, which is what I'm using. It's also available on PC or Windows. Going on to the chat, you can actually copy snippets from the different areas. This here just gives you a lot of these, a lot of options within the app. Now here it says change my status to away when I'm inactive for 15 minutes, and what you want to do maybe an hour, something to that effect. Virtual background is really, really neat. Now you're seeing my camera. Let me tilt this up just a tiny bit. You see my camera here. It's pretty interesting, but I have a green screen. So if I click on green screen, right now you don't see anything occurring, right? And that's normal. Nothing is supposed to occur when that happens. But here's what can occur. If I click on San Francisco, oh, voila, I'm in San Francisco now. I can click on, the grass. I can click on any one of these different options. Now, these were all downloaded. Now, notice that when I point my eye directly, like right there, my left eye looks a little funny. That's only because the green is reflecting off the screen. So what you want to do is look down just a little bit to avoid that, and that will help you avoid that kind of issue. Now, how did I get these extra little pictures? Not only pictures, but also videos like this one. How did I get those? Well, I just click on this little plus sign right here to add a video, either add an image or add a video, and then I'll select a video or image from my computer. And that way I can go ahead and do that. So I can basically be on the beach, chilling like a villain on penicillin, and chatting with you. Or I can very well be in a very JW broadcast, effect here. Either way, this is a very interesting way to be able to deflect from any background, discrepancies that might distort or maybe bother somebody. Perhaps one of the good things could be to go ahead and go to PowerPoint. You can copy a square and turn it into a picture, turn it into a solid color, and put that on your background. So it's not distractive, bombastic or flamboyant, but just an easy way to keep everything behind you kind of in check. And you don't need a green screen to have it. If you don't have a green screen, as you can see, it has just a tighter, kind of a more difficult time being able to smooth out the edges. And if I stick out my hand, you can tell, but when I do the green screen, it really fixes it, makes it a lot better, and that's the reason I use a green screen behind me. If you don't have a green screen, you can get a green blanket or any other type of green screen. You can also click on the green screen color. So if you click here, all right, it'll show. Wow, goodness, excuse me. Let's try this. Pardon me. There it is. You can click on the color of the green screen. So if you have blue behind you, obviously don't wear blue, but then you can also click on that and make that your green screen. So that green screen doesn't necessarily have to be green. Green is just the one of the most opposite to skin tone, and very few people wear green on them. So that's the reason why green screens are so popular and make it such a good option, right? Recording. You can choose to record each one of the meetings that you go to, that you start excuse me, yourself. So you can record a separate audio file for each participant, or you can record the video during the screen sharing, so that way you can say, if you're teaching a concept, you can capture that and then just replay it later on, or share that to the participants or with the participants. Your profile here. You can view the advanced features. You can create, you can edit the profile, which means you can change the icon. And notice when I hover, it actually gives me a chance to change the picture too. Pardon me. And so I can. Let me just show you how that happens. Go ahead and click right here, and then say change the picture. And now I can change it to whichever picture I might have of myself down here. So this is one of the ways that you can do that. Now, I don't have another picture that looks exactly like me right now, so this is the one that I've used, and that's the one I'm keeping. Oh, by the way, if you're in this picture area and there were two people, say you and your wife, and you want to focus on you, you can go in and you can focus and then pan. Once you focus, then you can move the picture around to be able to show just yourself and not your wife, just as an example. Statistics, keyboard shortcuts, and accessibility are really things that are not absolutely necessary. You can reach this control panel two different ways. You can go ahead and click on the little gear box right here. That will give you the settings. Or you can go to the top over here where it says Zoom, or on your computer, click on the word Zoom US or File, and then go to Preferences to be able to do that. And then you can look at that. Okay. So those are the preferences and settings. Let's go and start a quick meeting here. So what you can do is when you're starting a meeting, you can click on this little thing here, on this little tick box. Now you want to start with video or not start with video. If I start the meeting right now like this, it's I'm going to join with computer audio. Remember, I can click automatically join audio by computer when joining a meeting, and that keeps me from having to see this screen all the time.